My wife left me when I was paralyzed. Last week, she asked me to walk her down the aisle. I never imagined I'd be writing something like this. I'm not the type to overshare online, but something about the anonymity of Reddit makes this easier. It's been years since everything fell apart, but last week cracked something inside me that I thought had long healed. So here it is. I, 36 million, used to be married to Sarah, 34 feet. We were high school sweethearts, the kind of couple people looked at and said, "You two are perfect for each other." We went to the same college, graduated together, and got married when I was 25 and she was 23. Life wasn't always smooth, but I truly believed we were partners for life. I worked in construction management, long hours, decent pay, and a lot of physical presence on sites. Sarah was a nurse, so her hours were just as hectic, but we made it work. We didn't have kids, but we had plans. Buy a house, have 2 kids, maybe even move out west eventually. Then, 5 years ago, everything changed. I was working a job about 60 miles from home. An old warehouse conversion. Routine day. Until one of the scaffolding beams snapped during inspection. I fell 2 stories and landed on my back. Clean spinal cord injury, T12, paralyzed from the waist down. I don't remember much about the first few hours, just sirens, pain, and then white ceilings. The next year was a blur of hospitals, surgeries, rehab, therapy, depression. Sarah was there at first. I remember her holding my hand in the ICU, telling me it didn't change how she felt, that we'd figure it out. But as the months dragged on, her visits grew shorter, then less frequent. The smiles faded. Conversations became awkward. I was in inpatient rehab for about 7 months. When I was discharged, she didn't come to pick me up. My older sister Megan did. I got home to an empty apartment. Sarah was gone. No note, no explanation, just gone. Later that day, I got a text. Not a call, a text. "I'm sorry I can't do this. I still love you, but I need a life too. I'll have the divorce papers sent over. I hope you understand." That was it. I didn't respond. What could I even say? My world collapsed a second time. It was harder than the accident, because the accident took my legs, but she took everything else, my future, my hope, my heart. It took years to rebuild myself. Years. Physically, mentally, emotionally. My sister and her husband moved me into their guest house and took care of me. I went through therapy, both physical and emotional. I taught myself how to drive again with hand controls. I went back to school online, got a degree in architectural design, and started freelancing. I rebuilt. Brick by brick. 2 years ago, I bought my own apartment, my own car. I've even started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but enough to feel like I'm a person again, not just someone who was left behind. And I hadn't heard a word from Sarah, not until last week. She showed up at my door. I thought it was a mistake at first, like I was seeing a ghost. Same eyes, same nervous smile. She said, "Hey, can we talk?" I didn't slam the door, though I wanted to. I let her in. We sat awkwardly in the living room. She told me she was getting married again, to a doctor she worked with. Apparently, they'd been together for 3 years. I just nodded. Then she said the unthinkable. "I know this is a huge ask, but I was wondering if you would walk me down the aisle." I laughed. I couldn't help it. It wasn't a funny laugh, more like the sound of someone choking on disbelief. I said, "You do realize I can't walk, right?" She looked flustered. "I mean, roll me down, or be there, like symbolic." You were such a big part of my life, and I think it would mean something. To both of us. I stared at her. I didn't say anything for a full minute. She started crying. Said she regrets how she left. That she was scared. That she was 28 and didn't know how to handle seeing her husband permanently disabled. That she felt selfish every day. That this was her way of making peace. I told her no. Flat out, no, I said. You left me when I was at my lowest. You didn't just leave, you abandoned me without warning, without closure. I had to rebuild my entire life without so much as a goodbye from you. And now you want me to give you a pretty ending? Number. She tried to plead. Said she knew it was unfair, but she wanted to right a wrong. I told her that her closure wasn't my responsibility, that I've already made peace without her. She left, crying. She left, crying. Later that night, her fiancé messaged me. I don't even know how he got my number. He said he understood I was hurt, but that Sarah was genuinely trying to make amends and that I was being needlessly cruel. Blocked him. But it's been eating at me. Am I cruel? For not giving her that? I still don't know. Part of me feels vindicated. Another part of me feels like I missed an opportunity to truly let go. But then I remember the nights I cried myself to sleep, alone, while she was out rebuilding her life. She made her choice. I made mine. This is me letting go, not by rolling her down the aisle, but by never looking back. My wife left me when I was paralyzed. Now she's telling everyone I betrayed her. It's been 3 weeks since Sarah showed up asking me to walk her down the aisle. I thought saying no would be the end of it, that she'd cry, feel some regret, and then go live her happily ever after with the guy she left me for. I was wrong. She didn't just walk away. She lashed out. At first, I didn't notice. My life had moved on. I was back in my work routine, finalizing a renovation blueprint for a historical restoration client. I was even texting someone I met through a mutual friend. Someone who didn't flinch when I told her I used a wheelchair. Then I got a message from an old college buddy. Hey man, I didn't realize things with Sarah ended that badly. I just heard her version of what happened. It didn't sound like you, I replied instantly. What version? He told me Sarah had told several mutual friends and apparently a few people at her hospital that I kicked her out after my accident, that I had emotionally shut down, and that I had asked for a divorce because I couldn't stand being a burden. She said I had pushed her away. I was stunned. It was the exact opposite of what happened. She disappeared. She ghosted me. She didn't even have the guts to break up in person. And now she was spinning this grieving wife-turned-survivor narrative to protect her image. I was furious. But more than that, I was hurt. Again. I messaged her. I didn't even bother with pleasantries. Why are you lying about what happened? Why are you telling people I pushed you away? Her reply came within seconds. I'm not lying. It's how it felt to me. You shut down emotionally. You were angry all the time. I didn't know how to help. You did tell me to leave that night after rehab, which was technically half true. I had told her that if she couldn't be part of the healing, she needed to step aside. But I said it after weeks of her avoiding me, making excuses not to visit, ignoring my messages. She'd already emotionally checked out. And now she was rewriting the narrative. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I posted the full story on Facebook, something I hadn't used in nearly 2 years. I kept names vague, but people knew. I wrote about the accident, the abandonment, the text. I didn't insult her. I didn't rant. I told it straight. It went semi-viral in our local circle. People messaged me in shock. Some apologized for believing her side. A few mutual friends who had been on her side reached out and admitted they had no idea what really happened. But it didn't end there. Sarah sent me an angry voicemail. She said I had publicly humiliated her, that her fiancé's parents had seen the post, and now they were questioning her story. She begged me to take it down, said she was having panic attacks, said she never meant for things to go this far. For a moment, I hesitated. Maybe I should have handled it privately. Maybe I was being too vindictive. But then I remembered something. When I was at my lowest, she chose to leave. When she felt exposed, she begged for mercy. So I left the post up. A few days later, her fiancé, the same guy who once called me needlessly cruel, messaged me again. This time he said, "I owe you an apology. I didn't know the whole story. Sarah hasn't been fully honest with me. I hope you find peace." That message hit me hard, because for the first time in 5 years I felt truly vindicated. Not out of revenge, but out of clarity. People finally saw the truth, not the polished version she told at parties, but the raw version I lived through. I don't know if they'll still get married. Frankly, I don't care. What I do care about is this. For years, I thought I was the broken one. That losing my legs made me unlovable, hard to be with, easy to leave. But now I realize it wasn't my body that scared her. It was my strength. She couldn't handle my lowest. But I rose from it. And now, I'm finally free. It's been 2 months since I posted my side of the story. 2 months since Sarah's mask cracked. I thought that would be the end of it. She would lick her wounds, marry her doctor fiancé, and finally disappear from my life forever. But of course, it didn't end there. About 3 weeks after her fiancé messaged me to apologize, after he admitted Sarah hadn't told him the truth, I heard a rumor. Through a mutual friend, I learned their engagement was off. The wedding was canceled. No explanation, just canceled. I didn't think much of it. Honestly, I was relieved. One less thing to worry about. Then she showed up. Again. This time she didn't look nervous. She looked tired. Her eyes were sunken. She was wearing sweatpants and no makeup. A complete 180 from the polished, self-assured version of her that had once tried to rewrite history. "Can we talk?" she asked. I almost shut the door in her face, but I didn't. I let her sit down. Maybe I just wanted to hear what excuse she had this time. She started with a sigh. "I broke off the wedding," she said. "He didn't trust me anymore. Not after everything." I said nothing. She looked around my apartment like she was remembering something. Then she said, "You've done well for yourself. I'm proud of you." I raised an eyebrow. "I didn't rebuild my life for your approval," I said flatly. She nodded. "I know, I keep thinking about us. How things were before the accident. How we were." I let out a bitter laugh. "You mean before you bailed the moment things got hard?" She flinched. "I deserve that." There was a long silence. Then she said it. "I think I made the biggest mistake of my life leaving you. I was scared and selfish, and I've lived with that regret every single day. I didn't know how to be the person you needed. But I think about you all the time. I think about what we could have had if I'd just stayed." I stared at her. I was trying to figure out what this was. Guilt? Nostalgia? Manipulation? I don't know what you want me to say, I replied. She hesitated, then looked me straight in the eye. I want another chance. I want to fix this. Us. That stopped me cold. I should have been angry. I should have told her to get the hell out and never come back. But instead, I just felt numb. Do you think I'm some backup plan? I asked. That now that your perfect fiancé dumped you, you can run back to the man you abandoned like nothing ever happened? No, she said quickly. It's not like that. I've been thinking about you even before the wedding was called off. I never stopped caring. I looked her dead in the eye. You didn't care enough to come to the hospital. You didn't care enough to say goodbye in person. You cared enough to disappear and only come back when your new life fell apart. She started crying. I didn't care. You made your choice, Sarah. I rebuilt from nothing. Without you. I'm not the same man you left, and you're not the same woman I loved. I stood up. That was her cue. She wiped her eyes and walked to the door. Before she left, she turned back one last time. If you ever change your mind, I'll be around. I closed the door without answering. That night I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't feel angry or broken or confused. I felt free. For the first time in 5 years, I had the closure she thought she could control. Not because she asked for forgiveness, but because I no longer needed her apology. 1 week later. I've been talking more seriously to someone I met a few months ago, Emily. She knows everything. The accident, the divorce, Sarah's return, and she never once pitied me. She asked me real questions, laughed at my sarcasm, shared stories of her own trauma and recovery. She doesn't look at me like I'm broken. She looks at me like I'm whole. And that's all I ever wanted.